For this craft, you will need paper in a variety of colors. I have used black, white, brown, red or pink, yellow, and blue. You'll also need a pencil, a glue stick, some scissors, and a ruler. First, we're going to make the ears of our puppy. So I used a ruler to help me stay consistent with the sizes of my pieces, and I made it 3.5 inches wide and 5 inches long for my ears. And I use that as kind of a guideline to draw my ear shape. So I drew one kind of floppy ear, and you can kind of just make it a big U, or you can kind of make it wavy. And then the other one, about the same length and style. And then I get to the bottom, I'm going to draw a straight line like this to connect the ears. And then I'm going to use my scissors to cut my ears out. Once your ear shape is cut out, you can set that aside and move on to the next step. Next, I'm going to make the tongue. So again, I'm going to take my ruler so I can measure and make sure that all the pieces stay consistent in their size. Our puppy's tongue is really long because we're going to be using it for our pop-up effect later. So my tongue is 6.5 inches long. So I'm going to measure that. And it's about 1 inch wide. So you just draw a long U-shaped tongue like this, and then you're going to cut that out. When the tongue and ears are both cut out, it's time to connect them. So I'm going to put my ears going up and my tongue going down, and with just a little bit of glue, attach the tongue on that little low shape between the two ears. Just like that. Next, I'm going to work with my yellow paper to make the chin and face of my puppy. So I'm going to get out my ruler yet again, and I'm measuring about 3.5 inches wide, and this will be where I draw my chin, just a low upside down U, about 3 inches wide. And I need to also make my head. So for my head, I went about 5 inches tall, marked off where that would be, and then a long line down, but again, I'm going to end it with a U shape. Marking off to make sure that I'm still about the same width as the chin. And when I get to the top, I can draw a straight line across, but I don't want to cut it out yet because I need to add a little tab there, like this. Once your shapes are drawn, use your scissors to cut them out. Once they're cut out, you should have 2 yellow shapes, kind of like this. Next, we're going to be using our blue paper, and I'm going to measure a rectangle shape on my blue paper. And the dimensions I'm using are 5 inches by 6 inches. So 5 inches one way and 6 inches the other way for my rectangle. Once I've drawn the rectangle, then I will be able to cut that shape out. Alright, so I've cut my rectangle out. And for the next step, it's going to be a little bit trickier. I need to cut a slit in my blue rectangle where my puppy's tongue can fit through. So I'm going to find a space, maybe you want it to be 1 inch wide and maybe 1.5 inches down from the top of your rectangle. So I'm going to draw a little line here to show where I want to cut. And then this is the tricky part, cutting something in the middle of a paper. So you might want to use the sharp end to kind of poke a hole or get a grown-ups to help. And then cut that little slit. It has to be at least wide enough to accommodate the tongue. And then we're going to come from the back of the paper and slide that tongue shape all the way through. Alright, it's time for me to glue down some parts on the front of my puppy. So I'm going to glue down that yellow shape that is his chin under the tongue. Let the tongue lie on top of it. Don't glue the tongue down. And then I'm going to glue that large yellow shape, just putting glue on the edges and across the top, but not in the middle or on the bottom. And I'm going to press that down so that the tab is sticking up between the ears. So that piece should still kind of flap up at the bottom. Then I'll turn it over and fold down that little yellow tab over the brown part. Not gluing, just folding it down. And then we're going to make a couple more folds on the back. I'm going to, again, not gluing, just folding, fold down the edges of the blue so that when I turn over my card, I won't see the blue sticking out from the sides. So we'll take a look. Oh, I've got a little blue sticking out, so I'm going to adjust the fold on that side. There, that's a little bit better. Time for my next step. Next, we're going to make the eyes, so I'm going to need my white paper. And I make a small fold along the edge, and I'm going to cut 2 circles. I'm going to actually just cut 1 circle, but because the paper's folded, it'll make 2 circles. Now I'm just freehanding my circle, but if you want to, you could use a quarter or something else round to trace to give you a nice circle shape. So once I have the white part of the eye, I need to make the pupil, so I'm going to use my black paper for that. I take a small strip of black paper and again fold it and cut 2 smaller black circles out of this paper. And again, if it's easier, you could trace something to make your circles. And then I'm going to cut a 1 singular black oval piece that I'm going to use for the nose. So you're going to use your glue stick and glue down the white parts of the eyes, and then the little black parts of the eyes, and lastly the nose. He's looking pretty cute. For my next step, I'm going to fold down my puppy's ears so that they're covering his face along the edges of that yellow paper or at the top of his head. Now I'm going to flip him over so that I can do my final step. I need another piece of blue paper, another blue rectangle that will fit as a cover on the back of my puppy card. So you can measure the dimensions of what you've got there to make sure that it's going to fit. So mine is 3.5 inches wide and 6 inches long. So I'm going to cut a rectangle of those dimensions that will fit on the back of my card. Okay, so my rectangle's ready, and I'm going to put some glue just on the folded parts of my original blue paper. Not in the middle, just on those 2 folded edges. And glue the second blue piece of paper in place. My card is finished, and when I pull my puppy's tongue, his ears pop up. You can fold them down and try again. Pop! A happy puppy.